while others used to pray.
He was once the heartbeat of millions, but now no one hears his voice anymore. Barry Gibb, the last living legend of the Bee Gees, is slowly fading into a terrifying silence. What happened to the man who made the world dance to every note? What you're about to hear isn't just a music story, it's the story of a man who gave everything to the world, only to find himself left in the shadows. Barry Gibb now lives quietly in a seaside mansion in Miami, Florida, where media can't reach and strangers can't pass the discreet security gates. At nearly 80, he isn't gravely ill, nor does he live in a nursing home. But he suffers from something more frightening: withdrawal. He avoids crowds, limits going out, and has barely appeared publicly since the Kennedy Center honors in 2023. Though living near his children and grandchildren, whom he once called the last light in a dark room, Barry keeps his distance. Not because he doesn't love them, but because he fears facing emotions he can't control. In an interview with The Guardian, he admitted, "Family is all I have left, but I can't show it like normal people do." Barry especially avoids anything he deems potentially dangerous, even the smallest things. Boiling water, driving at night, riding roller coasters, even stepping into a gas kitchen are all on his forbidden list. Partly because of a childhood accident, but also from an intangible fear of the unexpected. As he once told Rolling Stone, "I've seen too many things disappear without warning. Since then I no longer believe in safety." The mansion where Barry lives is designed like a fortress. Everything tied to the past is carefully stored in a private room accessible only to Linda, his wife. She is also the only one who can still reach the human part left in Barry. But even Linda admits, he doesn't want to talk much anymore. That statement sounds simple, but for someone who wants to find himself through music, it's a chilling sign of letting go. For over 50 years, he sang about love, pain, and the will to live. But at 78, he only whispers those things in fleeting moments with his grandchildren. "I'm reliving childhood through Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck. They make me laugh like the days before I knew what the Bee Gees were." No longer finding joy on the stage, Barry seeks scraps of happiness in harmless moments, watching cartoons, planting trees, strolling in the yard at dusk when no one can see. He doesn't speak of the future. When asked about plans for the next year, Barry only replied, "I don't make long-term plans. I just hope I wake up tomorrow." That answer, from a man who once conquered every music chart, is the confession of someone who no longer has anything left to wait for. Some reporters have described Barry as a living legend. But if so, he's living as a shadow of himself, unwilling to speak, uninterested in being mentioned, unconcerned whether the world remembers or forgets him. In a CBS News interview, he once said a chilling line, "I don't feel anything about whether people remember me or not. And I think that's okay." But is it really okay? Barry has lived as if he's bidding farewell to everything, even his voice, his love, his memories, and finally, the belief that music could save a life. He saved millions with his songs. But as he once said, "I wrote so many love songs, but none of them helped me get through their deaths." Barry's silence didn't begin in old age. It started much earlier, at a moment no one expected. In 1948, in a small apartment on the Isle of Man, Barry Gibb, then just 2 years old, accidentally spilled a boiling teapot on himself. His skin was severely burned, leading to necrosis. Doctors told his parents the boy had less than half an hour to live. Miraculously, he survived. Life after the accident became a long string of quiet days. Barry spent 2 years in the hospital, wrapped in bandages like a mummy, completely isolated from the outside world. After his discharge, he didn't speak a word for the next 2 years. Just a boy staring into space as if the world had vanished. Decades later, Barry recalled in an interview, "I lost the ability to speak not because of my body, but my mind. I stopped believing anyone was listening." That memory, seemingly faded by time, became the foundation of his entire inner world. When the family moved to Manchester in 1955, Barry thought he could finally start a new chapter. But once again he was separated. His father took Barry to live elsewhere while his mother and siblings stayed with an aunt. For a child who'd already endured isolation in a hospital, being split from his mother and brothers was like another stab into an unhealed wound. He once bitterly admitted, "I never understood why I was isolated like that." People said it was necessary, but to me it felt like abandonment. Those early years didn't just leave scars on his skin, they carved a deep fear of attachment into Barry's psyche. He always doubted, is love lasting? Will every relationship eventually break? That question followed him for the rest of his life. And yet, ironically, the boy who once doubted whether he had a place in the world became the center of a global music phenomenon. When Barry Gibb entered his 20s alongside Robin and Maurice, the Bee Gees were born, delivering melodies full of emotion, longing, and doubt. By the mid-70s, the Bee Gees didn't just succeed, they dominated. With Saturday Night Fever, they redefined an era. Stayin' Alive, Night Fever, How Deep Is Your Love, those songs didn't just play on the radio, they became the heartbeat of a generation. Barry, with his signature falsetto, became a global icon. But fame has a cruel cycle. In 1979, the Disco Sucks movement erupted in the US. The Bee Gees, as the ultimate face of disco, instantly became targets. Radio stations banned their songs, the press mocked them, and in Chicago, thousands of people even burned Bee Gees records in a stadium. For Barry, it was a cultural shock. From the pinnacle, he was thrown into the abyss with no time to react. He later confessed, "You get kicked around, then one day people love you again, then kick you again. That's the cycle of my life." From there, Barry retreated. He stopped appearing frequently on TV. The Bee Gees shifted to writing for others, Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton, Barbra Streisand. It was a way to make music without being mocked. One of the few things keeping Barry balanced was his wife, Linda. In a world of temptation, she was his shield. When Steve McQueen once invited her to dinner, she refused, just to avoid Barry's jealousy. When flashy offers came, she turned them down, keeping their life grounded. But no shield could protect him from what came next, loss after loss. In 1988, his youngest brother Andy Gibb died at just 30. Officially, it was myocarditis, but everyone knew his heart had been worn down by addiction and despair. Barry admitted with regret, "I thought I could save him. I was wrong." Their last conversation was a fight, and Barry carried that guilt forever. In 2003, tragedy struck again. Maurice Gibb, Robin's twin and the quiet anchor of the Bee Gees, suddenly died during surgery. Barry didn't make it in time to say goodbye. He later said, "We couldn't keep calling ourselves the Bee Gees without MO. It was like calling a body human after losing its heart." Then in 2012, Robin Gibb passed away after battling cancer. Barry and Robin's relationship had been strained in their final years, leaving wounds that could never be healed. Barry admitted, "I lost 3 brothers without being their friend. 3 funerals, and 1 survivor." Barry fell into a deep depression, shutting himself away from music and even family. If not for Linda pushing him to keep going, he might have disappeared completely. He eventually returned with the album In the Now, but it wasn't a comeback, it was a farewell. Every song was a conversation with ghosts. He later said, "I'm the last survivor. But no one told me how to live as the last one." In the years that followed, honors came. He was knighted in 2018. He was celebrated at the Kennedy Center Honors in 2023. Younger artists lined up to thank him. But standing on stage alone, Barry said quietly, "Without my brothers, I wouldn't be standing here." He smiled faintly, but in private admitted, everything came too late. When you lose the 3 people you loved most, no award truly makes you happy. Even now, Barry avoids watching the Bee Gees documentary. "I hear people love it," he said. "But I can't watch it. I don't want to see my brothers vivid but no longer here." Dolly Parton calls Barry the heart of a generation. Michael Bublé says How Can You Mend a Broken Heart launched his career. Critics rank the Bee Gees just behind Lennon and McCartney in shaping British music. But Barry listens to the praise with that faint smile, because deep down, he knows the truth. Music's real value isn't in awards or records. It's in the people you share it with. And for Barry, those people are gone. Today, what remains is the echo of old songs, in cafes, in films, in YouTube covers. For the world, it's a legacy. But for Barry, it's just the sound of ghosts. In his most recent Rare interview, he ended with one line, "I don't know if people will still remember me. And if they don't, that's okay." But for fans, for the millions who grew up with his music, forgetting isn't an option. If this story touched you, please hit like, share this video, and subscribe to our channel so more people can remember legends like Barry Gibb before their voices fade into silence forever.